Hi and welcome to a new video, and this time I just want to talk about Sofia Woodwinds. And this woodwind library has been recorded in, guess what, Sofia, Bulgaria, and it has been recorded at 4for-Music studios. And as you can see, it's not a contact library. It actually has been coded in HISE or HISE. And the great thing is, so you don't need the contact full version. You just install the library and you got the user interface, the sampler, right with it. So let's just play a little bit of these sounds here. And I also have to, I have to talk a little bit in between because there is so much going on under the hood that you simply have to explain it. Because when you open the browser, you see these patches, and there is always just one instrument patch and another one which is called breath. So it's for the breath controller, just in case you use a breath controller. And that's all. You have just one patch for the concert flute, for example, or for basically every instrument. But on the example, let me just show you all the articulations on the concert flute 1 first. And so basically you have legato, but also you can play, of course, sustain. And if you just want to sneak in like a second note for specific piece, or you just don't need to load another instrument. So you can simply play 2 notes without a problem, or even a full chord if you want. Okay, also you got, if you hit the note short, you have staccato right away with it. Let me just mute my microphone. Okay. Also, the great thing is you can MIDI learn with this library. So what you can do is basically, it's already applied the dynamics. You already have seen that is applied to the attached to the mod wheel or CC1. So let's just take this controller here and let's unlearn. Let's remove this one and let's learn the flutter to this knob here. So now you can control the flutter with this button here, and you can do stuff like this. Okay, so also let's remove this one first because I want to assign this to this button here. Learn MIDI CC, the intensity of the vibrato. So you can just, of course you would, if you would use several MIDI commands, you would just re-record them or assign them differently so you can use it, but you can do it as you want. But for now, I'm just doing it like this. Also, let me just turn down the flutter here. You can also adjust the rate of the vibrato. So you can get some really cool stuff. Let's assign this to this button here. So I obviously can't play them all at once, and I just want to focus on the library rather than recording a piece here. And so you could do stuff like so you could put a little bit of vibrato at the end of the phrase, which makes it a little bit more human. Also, what I want you to understand is the legato section here. So basically you have an offset knob, which basically controls the smoothness, let's say the smoothness of the legato transition. So I can explain it best when you also turn down the crossfade intensity. So by doing this, I'll just turn all these things down here. for a second. So you hear that the interval, for example, the C and the E, goes straight into the next note without anything. And if you just raise the intensity, let's put it to maximum here. You have the crossfade, well, more intense, so more to the front. And then if you raise the offset, also, you can control the pitch intensity. So this is basically when I turn it all the way down and I play the C to E, you have a straight or an almost perfect C going to a perfect E right away. But this never happens, you know, when you play real instruments. There's so much going on when you know, open, close the valves and control your breathing, all the physics inside the body of the flute, for as in this example right now. You always have to a little bit of an off, and it doesn't matter if it's at the end, happening at the end of the first note or at the start of the second note. You always have a little bit of a bend, a pitch, yeah, let's say like a little bit of an arrow, but okay. And for this, for the next one, you have also transition gain, which is basically when you have the effect of legato. So programming wise, you have a first sample, so let's say the C, and you have a target sample, or a target note, which would be the E. But there is also a third sample happening in between the C and the E, and this is just like the recording of that tiny little moment, what happens when the note transitions, or how do you say, like goes from this C to the E, okay, or whatever other note you're playing. So if you turn this all the way down, you just hear the notes. Also, let's turn on the pitch intensity so it's get really obvious. So this is what happens when you play basically one note to the next without any crossfade, without any transition sample in between. And also by pressing the Alt key, holding down the Alt key and pressing with the left mouse button, you put it back to, you know, let's say like factory default, like default level. So now the transition gain is up, and you almost hear a bump in between the two notes. It's almost a little bit louder than the actual samples. So this is basically a little bit too loud. So just put it around here and you have it more natural. Okay, so just to go on a little bit, let's load a little bit of a different patch here, so we won't get annoyed by just flute samples. Let's load the alto flute. Let's load some more sounds. Let's load the clarinet. And also let's check out how just the close samples sound. Let's load the Decca tree only. Sorry. and the whole. And all three back here. So you also can reroute these two individual outputs. You can set the delay, the width, the stereo width of the actual of just the deca and the whole, the deca tree and the whole, because the close mic you can't control, you know, the panning. Sorry, you can control the panning, but not the width, because it was obviously recorded a spot microphone. So another thing is the release tails, but that should be pretty obvious. If you just purge these, you just basically unload the release samples. And this is basically what it says, just in case you're not familiar with all these in all these details. If you just turn on the gain, you don't have release samples, because maybe you have, you know, such a good, you know, reverb or whatever, you just find it a little bit too much. And you also can control the envelope time and the decay. So let's move this back to default. Okay. So let's load another patch. Let's load the bassoon. Let's load the bassoon 2. And there is some more stuff going on under the hood. And if you have, oh, I didn't cover the let's just load the flute for a second for this. Let's load the concert flute 2. Before I continue, I should mention that I had, at this time when I was recording the video, I didn't have the release version, so it was still in production, so it could happen. And also I can show you the glide function here, because there's still some things going on, but it probably will be all fixed once the library is released, so won't be a problem. I think it already works on Mac and with other sequencers, but I think there's still a tiny little problem with just highs in Studio One. So unfortunately, I'm using Studio One, so I can show this to you. But you would mostly use it when you do experimental music, jazz or whatever. But in a classical sense, you wouldn't do a lot of these, you know, smears or glides or glissandi with woodwinds. So what I wanted to show you is another articulation, which is basically baked in each of these settings. This is the trills. So you could do trills by just holding down the first note and then pressing and releasing the second one. Sorry, let's move it up here. So I'm just holding the first, let's say in this example, like I'm holding down the G and just pressing and releasing the A. So you have all the trills going on, and you can also do like. So most of the time with most libraries, it's just limited to whole or half note trills, which is basically the most thing you're using. But you just be free. You could do like a, you know, like a major third, and it wouldn't be a problem. Another thing is, if you have a sustain pedal, you can use the sustain pedal to trigger legato repetitions. So as you probably know, it's always a little bit annoying when you want to play something like. So you can just play the first note, then I hit the sustain pedal and I release the key by still holding the sustain pedal. So you could do something like. Okay, so I'm holding the triggering the note, then the pedal and releasing the note. I just do a little bit of body movement because I don't have a camera under the table. Okay, now let's load the bassoon. So now you're familiar with all the with all the with the GUI here, let's just go over a few of these sounds. Oh, I didn't learn. I just wanted to. So you have to learn it again for each of the programs, for each of the patches. So just want to learn the flutter here. So it wasn't a bug right now, but when you have it turned down all the way, you just have the sustain sample. So you just have to put it up a little bit. Okay, let's load the contrabass. There wasn't one sample. There was one sample which wasn't loading. So again, as I said, it's an early version. It should all be fixed once the library is released. And if things don't sound right out of the box, you still have all these controls. So basically you can adjust all the, the crossfade intensity, the pitch intensity, the transition gain. It always depends on the track. So it wouldn't make sense to just show it how it works with one track, or I mean, actually it wouldn't make sense, but if you just put the same or apply the same settings to a track you composed, it would sound totally different. So it always depends on the track, and that's the cool thing. So you have all the controls on these settings here, especially when it comes to legato, because I experienced it many times that I had like the most awesome legato patch when I listened to it without any other instruments. And then I just applied it to the track and you couldn't hear it. And it was almost like doing like this. So you have that's the cool thing, that you can play around with it. So just in case this happens, you can control the crossfade intensity. You can raise the volume of the transition only and stuff like this. What else didn't play? The piccolo flute. Let's have some annoying piccolo flute. Just have a microphone in the way. So just let's load the concert flute again. Let's play some runs with it. So again, if you just fool around with these settings to make it a little bit more smoother, raising, lowering the pitch intensity. So you can adjust all these settings and change all these settings to as you prefer. Okay, I don't know if I think I didn't forget something. If you want to know more about the library, just of course check the links below. I put the link to the store, I put the link to the knowledge base, so you can read about everything in detail. And if you just have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. And as always, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.